Hey, everybody, and welcome to Page to Frame, where we take book to film adaptations and give our thoughts on the books and their adaptation form, whether movie or TV show. I am Gabby.
And I'm Jess.
And I am a visual effects artist that works at a post house in Texas. And Jess is
this one's cousin. Oh, this side? Yeah, this side. Yeah, that.
But Jess here loves books just like I am sure all of our listeners do too. There is a passion for both books and films, and especially with Hollywood adapting so many literary forms, whether that's poems, songs, comic books, mangas, or even books themselves into film. We will have an array of things to talk about. On today's episode, we will be talking about Hunger Games. Just a spoiler warning for the books and the movies. We have read the entire series in its entirety, as well as seen all the movies. So if you do not want to get spoiled for Hunger Games Book 1, please go read or watch that movie before you come back to us. And a disclaimer, I did listen to the audio form versus actually reading the books just because life.
I read the book entirely.
So I have a question for you, Jess. Did you first read the books or did you see the movie first? Like, how did you find out about Hunger Games specifically?
I found out through one of my best friends, actually. I think she told me, she's like, you should really read this book series. All of them had came out already. So I actually have the book set. I have all the hardcover book set. And my best friend told me about it. And I think it was a couple months before the first movie came out. So I was super excited about it.
So I will admit I came late into this game. I was in college and one of my college friends actually hit me up and she was like, hey, let's see this movie that I've heard really good things about. And I'm like, girl, I ain't gonna buy no movie on streaming, especially when I don't know anything about it. And she's like, just watch it. I think you're gonna like it. And I fell in love with it. And then I read the books.
Well, sometimes that happens. So I think I've done that for a couple things though too, where I've seen the movie and then try to read the books. But that happens to everybody, doesn't it?
It does. I think every way that you get introduced to this is always different. Tell us in the comments below how you guys got introduced to the Hunger Games. Was it the books first or was it the movie? And which do you prefer? Or do you like them both, like me?
I definitely do.
I think they complement each other is the thing.
Yeah, they do pretty well complement each other. They stayed the course for sure. Of course, there was definitely deviations from the book. They had to cut a lot of scenes, a lot of characters that they didn't have in the book that obviously didn't go to screen. Which ones that annoyed you the most? Because I know you. You hate that. Well, it annoys you to no end that some things weren't put in.
Well, okay, so as a filmmaker myself, I understand why certain things weren't put in. One of the things that annoyed me from the movie that wasn't put in the books, but it makes logical sense because she only comes out in like 3 scenes, and it's like, eh. But one of the things that really bugged me was the mayor's daughter. She doesn't come out, and she is the one that gives Katniss the pendant. And it is to show that people do care about her aside from Gale. In fact, I think putting her in the movie would have emphasized Peeta's like knowledge of like, you don't even know how you affect people. And it's true because Katniss says it in the books, like, we're not really friends, but I honestly think the mayor's daughter thinks they were friends.
I agree. Like it even says in the book, she's like, oh wow, people actually care about me. I thought that they should have put her in there. Because even when during the reaping scene, they just have people to the side, and you don't even know who those people are. And they have the girl there in the side. I looked specifically that way. They have a girl that kind of like moves her head. And you have no idea who those people are, really, unless you've read the book.
Another thing that I don't know was in the books or not was when Prim freaks out about getting her finger pricked. I didn't like that, and you can tell me if it was in the books because I don't remember it being in the books. But I don't like it because the one thing that she's good at is being a doctor and blood and things like that. Like, she doesn't get fazed by that. She is scared of her own shadow, which is what Katniss says several times over. But like medically stuff, she is a badass. And and in the scene, it just like didn't seem like
I don't remember that being in the book at all, to be honest.
That's what I thought. I thought that the movie had made that change, and that was just a change that I didn't personally like because it then removed the part where she wasn't squeamish about blood, she wasn't freaked out about it. Like, I think what she should have happened was she should have pricked her finger if you're going to have the finger pricking, and then freak out. But freak out about, like, not being next to Katniss. Because you know how in the books they tell you, like, 16-year-olds have to stay with 16-year-olds, 12-year-olds with 12-year-olds. Like, that's what she should have freaked out about, not being pricked by the finger.
Yeah, I think more or less she was just, I think the whole process just scared her more than anything because she knew what it meant, I guess, possibly.
And she was already had so much anxiety that she was going to be picked.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if she's a premonition because he got picked.
Yeah. Pretty much. Because, I mean, that's what her dream was, too, in the beginning.
Another thing that I didn't like, sorry, I'm looking at my notes, is that in the books, Prim already knows what Katniss does. Like, she knows that she goes hunting and stuff like that. In the movie, Prim asks, like, where are you going? And Katniss doesn't really answer. It, at least for a person who has never read the books, it could be perceived as Prim not knowing Katniss's secret of hunting in the woods.
Yeah.
And that's not correct at all because even in the book, she says, I tried to teach Prim how to hunt. She's terrible at it, but I tried.
Yeah. There was a lot of things they didn't put in there that they should have. I think they should have put more mention of Prim's goat lady in it because before she even left that morning to go out, she gave her a present of cheese from Lady before she goes and meets Gale.
So the thing with that is the goat was mentioned when they head out in the movies. For that, you just don't have enough time. Like, I
guess, but like the goat comes out of nowhere when she says, make sure you use the goat, before she leaves.
What maybe they could have done rather than like included is maybe show an exterior shot of Katniss's home and have the goat in the front yard.
Yeah, I agree with that. They should have done, but that's what I'm saying. They should have done at least a little something, to definitely show. Because I was like, where suddenly this goat come from?
No, yeah. So even if you get an exterior shot of at least the goat, then like they have a goat. One thing I also didn't like, and it was interesting for me, was that in the books, Katniss volunteering is not the norm. And I guess I hadn't read the books in a couple of months and I forget. Or maybe I just skipped to the games part of the book because I love that the most. But either way, Katniss volunteering for Prim, even that in itself is a huge deal. And the biggest example of that is Peeta. Peeta has two older brothers, even though Katniss does say that one of them aged out. I would have loved for them to have had a shot of the brother or like someone that looks like the actor of Peeta and kind of be like, I don't know, like, bro, I'm not volunteering for you. Like, that ain't happening. Something in which it is established that there was options for Peeta not to be in the Hunger Games, but family only gets you so far. So in the books, they do ask at the end, like, is there any volunteers? I guess for people to volunteer for Peeta. I would have loved for them to have kept that for Effie to ask that. And then you get a shot at either Peeta's family and his brother, so that you kind of get the idea like, oh, someone else could have volunteered for him that was bloodly related. And then also a shot of Gale. And you could have had like Gale think about it, like raise his hand like he was, and then look over at Prim and go, oh, I can't.
Yeah.
Because, later
that
on.
pact they made, well, they had made a pact. If one got chosen, then the other would stay back and take care of the families, both of their families.
No, yeah, but it comes out later that like Gale did consider it and he regrets not volunteering for a good while. More because of
later down in one of the other books, though, because that's not mentioned in the first book.
No, I know, but also in the first books, you're only getting her perspective. Mm-hmm. The good thing about movies is you're getting everybody's perspective, and that's one thing that the author made sure that you get the game maker's perspective. That was the beauty of adapting it into a movie.
That is true, and I did like that because it shows more. I definitely did like that in the movie adaptation, that you saw more why that she suddenly got fire attacked.
No, yeah, so that is one of the things that the author did encourage, was that she wanted people to get the perspective of the game makers. So everything within the game makers is her version. Like, she approved of everything, of their reasoning why they did what they did. That being said, I think when they focused so much on the game makers, they removed focusing on Peeta and Peeta's storyline, like his family. And that's why later on, I don't care about Peeta's family if I just watch the movie. To be fair, if I just watch the movie, I think he's an only child.
Yeah, pretty much.
The only thing that I know is that his mom beats him, and his dad, I know nothing about his dad because his dad was actually taken out of the movie, but in the books, he's a sweetheart.
Uh-huh.
Like, there's so much about the dad in the books versus in the movie. And so, like, in the movie, when I first saw it, I did not care to any degree about Peeta's family because I thought he was an only child and his mom was really, really mean. And I didn't know anything about his dad. To be fair, I could have thought that he was a single mom raising a baker's boy. And that's not the case at all. And I actually really like the family. And I like that dynamic in the books. And I really hate that they didn't touch on that even a little bit.
Yep. Because, the dad really is a sweetheart. He offered to help take care of Prim. And they didn't even show that either in the reaping during the visit.
No, yeah. So I know that they weren't gonna. I think Mags is her name, the mayor's daughter. I know that they weren't gonna show her, and I guess that's decent how they made it where she gets a mocking pin. But
I think they don't even touch on who really gave it to her. He does say who it really was.
No one gives it. She's in the market and she's looking at pins and she really likes it.
It was Grace Sue.
So in the books, it's the mayor's daughter who gives it to her.
Yeah. But the one who gives the broth and whatnot, Greasy Say,
yeah.
Yeah, but like it doesn't even say who that is and nothing. And she ends up helping her a lot, actually, in the Hob.
No, yeah, but in the movie they change it to where it's this random old lady that lets her.
That's how to imagine who that was, because she had the soup.
No, yeah, but either way, we don't get that information. Like, the thing is that it's semi-decent of a job that they did. That was my peeve, was that I think the mayor's daughter should have been the one to give it to her, or it'd have been in her family.
Yeah, maybe Gail, her sister.
Well, no, her sister gives it back to her, which is why it has meaning.
Yeah.
So, like, why it ends up having meaning is because she tells her sister, like, it's for good luck. So when she gets picked, she gives it, like, Prim literally gives it to her, and it's a reminder of how much her sister loves her. And that's what it becomes in the books. In the movies, it literally means nothing to Katniss, and she's like, yeah, whatever. I mean, even when Cinna tells her like, oh, I had it for you or whatever, she's just like, cool, it's just a pin my classmate gave me, you know? But to that classmate, it was like, that's a pin I gave my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And again, giving that like different perspective.
Yeah.
But I know there's not enough time in the day in the movies, especially since it was like 2 hours and like 40 minutes or something like that. Crazy.
2.5.
Yeah.
Almost. It was like 2 hours and 20 something minutes or something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I realized a lot of that too. They took a lot of characters and all that because of, I was like, yeah, okay, I understand. It's like over 2 hours long. I understand them cutting things and da, 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 da. They didn't put as much focus on PETA and, you know, their relationship because they don't mention a lot of like key points throughout the storyline and all that throughout the movie. Like
Yeah.
there's missed conversations if you didn't read the book. You're kind of like, okay, you know, they had that conversation. Wait a minute, huh? Yeah, because like all of a sudden they're training together and things like that. And so after the reaping and they go into the train, there's some missed conversations on the train with Haymitch.
Yeah, well, Haymitch makes the deal in the books, which I kind of don't like that he doesn't do it in the movies, where he's like, I'll be sober enough
Yeah.
to get you through this. Because they show like spunk. They show like, oh, maybe they're not, maybe they're
Exactly.
worth doing the effort for.
Yeah. It doesn't, that's why I said they have missed conversations and things like that. That I think they should have really put in the movie.
A conversation like that would not have taken too much time, or just a sentence or two of him agreeing like, okay, you guys really like want to try to survive, I got you. I know that when they go on the chariots and they got like put on fire or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't, so I get CGI why you do it, where they like made the fire go away, but technically they were supposed to be on fire the whole time.
They were until they went back underneath. Yeah.
Because the whole time they were supposed to have so much time in which the crowd then started to look up their names and started chanting their names,
Mm-hmm.
which is what made them a huge target.
Mm-hmm. And that's why everybody started having dirty looks when they got and that's where Kato started, you know, it's like, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get them.
I don't like that they took away PETA's stylist. I
Yeah.
think they show her, but they don't. Like, Cinna never says, like, me and PETA's stylist have come up with this plan.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't, like, it all seems like it's Cinna's idea and it's Cinna only. And I'm like, that's fine because it is primarily Cinna. And I love Cinna, no hate on him. He's a great both actor and character. But poor PETA, like,
I know I think they took a lot away from him in the movie. They really did. Like his ideas of how to get her through the Hunger Games and everything, going, you know, through all that. His interview. I gotta say this too. I hated that they took away Haymit's entrance into the reaping. I would have loved it. I'm sorry.
oh, when he falls over because
Yeah.
he's super drunk.
Yeah, I was like, that would have been so great. I'm sorry, you should have added it. That would have been great because everybody's talking about it.
No, so the reason that I think that they removed it is because then it wouldn't have made sense why he then is sober enough to train them if he gets that blackout drunk. Like if he is that like far gone. And again, in the books it explains it and it has all those scenes, but there's not enough time without those things to have that moment. I agree. I think it's a huge, like, it shows, first of all, how far Haymitch has fallen. And then later on, you see basically how these two kids saved him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they gave him hope. Well, mainly Katniss rather than Peeta.
Yeah.
Because, he thought only one of them was coming out.
Yeah.
He bet on the right horse.
Mm-hmm.
I think he bet on the right horse. I don't think she would have won, though. And I'll get to that when we get to the actual, games. But I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't
But
think.
a lot of it was also thanks to Peeta.
Oh, no, that's. I'm going to get to that. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. And for me, build-up is so important. For me, world building and build-up in the first book is so important. So one of the things that I personally hated was that when Haymitch tells them 1 and 2 are the careers, I'm like, bro, read the book. You are so wrong. It's 1, 2, and 4 are the careers. And that is very important for book 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason that she doesn't trust Finnick in book 2 is because he's a career. And then that removed Katniss's death count. Because she not only kills Glimmer, but she kills the District 4 tribute too, the one that was left by the with the bugs, Jabberjays or whatever they're called.
Jabberjays?
Yeah. The ones that sting you and poison you and make you all
Jabberjack. No, Trackerjacks.
Trackerjackers, yes, Trackerjackers. There was supposed to be another person aside from Peeta in that group that Katniss then kills. I'm just saying, that wouldn't have hurt them. It's 2 extra words. It's the careers 1, 2, and 4. And then just showing that extra person when they're huddled up. That's it. That doesn't take too much of the time in the movies.
Nope, it does not.
I got feelings, man. I got feelings. So do you have any differences between, because now I'm going to get into the games and stuff like that. So do you have any opinions on prior to the games?
Most of it is just that a lot of, like I was saying, a lot of it was missing. Just some conversations that should have been in there. Like I said, some of it that wasn't said in the movie. Like Haymitch saying that, hey, this is kind of the plan that should be done. They didn't really have that in the movies. And that they should have, it's just like, oh, hey, it was just kind of thrown into more of the training scenes and all that. And you're just like, okay. And then it's like, they were saying, Haymitch said this. When did he say that? Okay, cool. I guess. Sure. I didn't know this was the plan, but okay. All right, this is what we're doing. Before the interview, Haymitch was like, oh, Peeta decided to wanting to be trained on his own. They said before that they wanted to be trained together.
None of that. They do.
Yeah, in the book they do, but if you didn't know that, you didn't. When was it said that they were going to be trained together? I was like, I was watching the movie. Did I miss that they said that? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I did it. Did I not hear right? Maybe I need to watch it again. So there was just a lot of pieces missing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then one of the things that I also disliked before they get into the games is that Peeta goes after Katniss, like when Katniss is going to go in and show the bows and arrows. He tells her, shoot straight, but it's in the books, it's actually he goes in, and before he goes in, he says, shoot straight. I think they should have kept it like it is in the books, because then in the following movie, they keep it like in the books because there's a reason for it. And honestly, then you have really no hope for Peeta to get the game makers' attention, because if you see them not interested when Katniss is there, why would they be interested when Peeta gets there? To be fair though, I lie, he should have gotten more of an advantage, because then they're like, oh snap, we need to pay attention to this tribute. We should pay attention to the next one that comes after the one that just almost killed us. But in the books, that isn't the case. And that's what also Katniss finds confusing, because he does it right before he knows he's not going to see her again, is he gives her this advice. Throughout the whole book, you understand that Katniss is like, why is this dude being nice? Oh, he's just playing the game. He's not really nice. It's fake. all this stuff. She's trying to convince herself not to like him, which I do like that in the books. She's like, nice people have a way of burying their place in my heart. And I'm like, he will. He will. I'm a huge Peeta and Katniss fan based on the books.
Yeah.
Only on the books. If I had just seen the movies, which I did, like when I first saw it, I only saw the movies and I didn't read the books. And then I found out this whole like Team Gale, Team Peeta. I was like, well, one's a Hemsworth and one's just a random dude there. Like, yeah.
Hemsworth all the way.
Yeah, Gale wins all the way. And then I read the books and I'm like, he ain't that hot, okay? Gale can step out of the way. He can go end up with somebody else. Which I have a theory of who I would have loved Gale to end up with, and I will talk about that at the third book. It's a thing. So stay tuned for that, guys. And tell me y'all's theory of who Gale should have ended up with.
When we get there.
Sorry for spoilers. But yeah, I'm a huge Peeta fan, and I love that she says that.
Oh yeah, since I read the books first, I was more of a Peeta fan because he devoted everything to her. Legitimately, he was ready to give up his life for her.
Oh, we will get to that ending because it is way more impactful in the books than it is in the movie.
Yeah,
I got feelings about that, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
I mean, obviously, even in the interview, the tributes interview, I was so angry that it wasn't more like the book. Because I think it would have been more impacting if they followed the book in the movie. Because it was only like a couple more lines. They could have spared a couple more lines. Because it would have like struck home if they just followed the book for those lines. Like, because it showed how much he cared for her. And plus her reaction, because she didn't really have a reaction there. Really, for how she was feeling, really, like from the book.
Yeah, she waits until they're in their penthouse, and then she actually hurts him.
Yeah, she actually like shoves him, and like he gets his hand like sliced, and all that fun stuff. But like first, her initial reaction is complete shock, and not straight to anger. So.
But
they didn't catch that.
That's one thing that was hard to portray. Also, so this is one problem that I did have with the movies. I love the movies. But like after like straight reading this book and then going straight into the movie, the pacing of the movie is just like da 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 da, like
exactly.
next scene. And it didn't give that moment that you're talking about enough time to breathe for it to go, okay, it's shock. Oh my gosh. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Maybe see like Kato's reaction, like laughing or something where she starts thinking, oh yeah, he's making me look weak in front of the other tributes. Like, this is a problem. I need to like face him and now I'm mad. And then, because that's what she's thinking, right? But like, there's no way of like, unless you're doing narration, which is the best for film. I think so. Like having one of the other tributes kind of smirk or laugh or like make it to where she was just in shock first, and then she's realizing like this dude is making me look like a fool.
Yeah.
And then realizing that it's not about the tributes and how they perceive you. It's about the sponsors and how they perceive you. And this has truly helped. And even then, I don't think they emphasized how much this really did help her.
Yep. I think that moment was taken too lightly. Because that was a really pivotal moment for her throughout the whole actual game portion. And essential moment, really, for their relationship throughout the books.
Yeah. I mean, that's what is the... Without that interview, you would not have gotten the star-crossed lovers.
Exactly.
And then we would have had a different champion, different victor, which we'll get to again. We'll get to that. Who I think should have been the victor if that hadn't have happened. I got my theories. So is that all your thoughts on before the games?
Yeah.
Okay. So now going into the games. I understand how it was filmed, and I do like that a lot of the behind the scenes stuff of the cornucopia specifically shows that took days to rehearse. It was done supervised by stunt teams. It was heavy rehearsal before they ever got to location. And everyone was a part of it. Everyone had their own moves. Everyone, down to the second, everyone knew what they were doing. Everyone knew who was interacting with who. It was just a mixture of no one could mess up because there were multiple cameras all over the cornucopia. So actors didn't know if they were being filmed or not at any given time. So they had to give 100% performance through the entirety of that beginning fight at the cornucopia, which I thought was so great.
Talk about stress.
Yeah. These poor kids, man. And it was interesting that like all of them ranged from 12 years old to 21 years old of like actors, but they all seem to get along, like according to like the behind the scenes and a lot of like the social media that was going on. They like were very like friendship oriented.
I think that definitely makes a better environment and better performances.
Yeah.
Which obviously came through showing in the movie.
A little fact, the guy who plays Marvel, which is, if you don't know, the District 1 person.
Oh no, not you. Poor thing.
So back to the timing, my issue with the timing of this movie, one of the biggest things that they got wrong on the timing was in the Hunger Games actual games, because this made it seem like the Hunger Games took place in like 4 days rather than like the 2 to 3 weeks that Katniss estimates in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she gets. Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's even longer than that, to be real, because she gets dehydrated, like medically dehydrated, because she hadn't drank in water in days.
Mm-hmm. Like that first little bit while she's by herself. Yup.
So that's the part I didn't like that they didn't show. I also didn't like that they teamed up Rue and Katniss in the way that they did it.
Yeah.
I loved it much better in the books.
Yeah, they did it very quickly. But again, we have to also, like we said, consider the time.
But my thing was that Rue helps her while she's like passed out because she's like healing her stings with the leaves. Which, by the way, that was supposed to be way more gross because it's actually Rue's spit.
Yeah, she chews it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not even getting into that fact. But Rue doesn't go up to Katniss. Katniss literally has to coax Rue out. Because no offense, Katniss, even in the books, has literally done nothing to show, aside from her being nice and having the pin and all these things, that she would ally herself with Rue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Rue was taking a big-ass risk saving Katniss in the movies. Yep. In the books, you know that Katniss first asks her, gives her then food, and then after that, Rue is like, okay, this person's doing this for me. Let me help her with some leaves to heal her wounds. Like, it's a more give and take type of relationship. But in the movie, at least the way I perceived it, was more like Rue really needs Katniss. And she's just going to take the chance of like saving Katniss and pray that Katniss doesn't kill her.
Yeah, I thought that was definitely like odd. Okay, the first page I opened about the careers. Wait, is it 3, 1, 2, and 3 and 4? Oh, they got 3. They recruited 3.
They recruited 3 for his technology. And I do like that they say that in the books because, again, that has meaning in the second novel. In the first one, it was as visually told as one can get. But yeah, when it comes to the District 3 guy joining the careers, they do visually show that the platforms have been dug up.
Mm-hmm.
And in the books, you of course know that it has been a couple of hours, if not days, that have passed. That Candace trying to figure out why this like hill is a thing. Like she's like, it has to be booby trapped, but how is it booby trapped?
Mm-hmm.
And then like Foxface comes up and she shows her kind of how it's booby trapped.
Yeah, because she can't really see it.
Yeah.
From where she's at.
So in the movie, they do a semi-decent job of it, but they don't give it enough time to breathe for her to be looking at it. But again, for timing purposes, it makes sense why they don't.
Yeah.
But I think they did the best that they could with that scene.
Yeah. But also in that fact too, she was supposed to be out for like a day and a half from the explosion, and they made it seem like she automatically got up.
She's also supposed to have lost her hearing on her left ear.
Yep.
Which comes into play in the second book because she hears the humming. Also, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the death of Rue is different as well.
She actually shot the dude in the neck with the arrow. So she shot him in the chest, not in the neck.
But to my understanding, she wasn't next to Rue when he killed Rue.
No, she was like running, I think, still to them.
Yeah, she was still running towards it. And to get...
That's when he lanced her, yeah.
When he lanced her and to get him away from her, he shoots at her. And then he falls over. And then that's when she sees that she didn't make it in time to save her. And the reason I think that's important of a difference, so I did read it right, because she ducked, not getting speared, while knowing a 12-year-old little girl is to your back.
Yep, no.
So she like sees the spear coming, and instead of grabbing Rue and ducking together, she just ducks. She's like, Rue can figure it out by herself. Like, I don't, like, that's what even to this day, I see it. And that shot, like, angers me so much because and I get it, you could say like, oh, she was going for her bow, but he had already launched that spear.
Mm-hmm.
So like your head, if you're like supposed to be protecting this person that you're like hugging and so happy that you got her in time or whatever, and then you see a spear coming at you, I think your initial reaction should be, especially her that has a sister that she's been protecting for years.
Yep.
I think her initial reaction should have been turn around, grab Rue, and both of you duck. Or pull away and get out of the spear's way.
Let me see. What chapter was that? I was seeing at home, at work too. What about Loverboy?
Oh, that's another thing. She tells Rue that it isn't real, like that the romance is fake. And she's shocked. In the book, she's like, oh, that's not real?
Yeah.
And in the movie...
Is all of that true?
What?
You and him.
So where are Kato and the others?
They got all their supplies down by the lake.
And Candace just doesn't answer.
Yeah. She just kind of goes all away from the fact.
Yeah, and to me, in the books, that shows her trusting Rue.
Yeah.
A lot of trust in Rue.
Mm-hmm. It makes more development why she like completely breaks down when she dies. Oh, here it is. Oh, when she comes in the clearing, she's hopelessly entangled. She just has time to reach her hand through the mesh, say my name before the spear enters her body.
Oh, so she doesn't even get her out of the mesh.
Yeah. The boy from District 1 dies before he can pull out the spear. My arrow dies deeply into the center of his neck. Yep.
Okay, I think that the neck thing would have been a little too gruesome for a PG-13 movie. Let's be real. It had to be the chest.
I guess, yeah.
But see, like, that would have been even better that she not freed Rue.
You know, it doesn't show either. Well, because she already took her out. She's like, she's freaking out. Are there more? Are there more? But I think she does say that.
No,
Does she?
she doesn't. No, not in the movie.
She's still in the net with the spear in her, like in the book. So
much better.
Yep.
So I do like that we got to see District 11 lose it on the peacekeepers.
Yeah, they start to rebel and riot, and you don't get that in the book, and I do like that. I love like the back, and them saying, "Hey, the districts are starting to riot," and you don't really hear about it until the second book.
Yeah, so that is fair, and that's really an add-on for the movie. It did take away from the fact that they don't show that Katniss gets the bread from District 11, so you don't see that, which really would only have meaning in the books.
Peeta doesn't have that conversation with Katniss.
Well, that, and there's no way of Katniss saying, like, this is the first time ever that a district gives a gift to a different district's person, tribute.
So yeah, another tribute that's not their own.
Yeah, so like that would have been kind of hard to tell. So I do like that they changed that into showing them rebel against the Capitol out of their fury and anger, and explaining why Mage was able to talk to the game maker to make him change that rule.
Mm-hmm.
And like have them chance to give love. I do like that Clove and Kato team up, and then it's Foxface and Thresh, and then of course Katniss and Peeta are the last ones left. And then that kind of goes very similarly to how it is, except for removing a lot of dialogue from the cave scene.
Yeah, they removed a lot.
Timing, Jess, timing.
I know.
I do not like the mutts.
Yeah. They also didn't show that technically that they were all the other tributes.
That's why I didn't like them.
Yeah.
They were all supposed to have different hair. They did not have different hair.
I know.
Which, okay, to be fair, by that time, the technology was not there. To do CGI hair like the books have it is very, very difficult. In fact, the first
what year did this come out again?
2012.
We didn't have it back then. I could have swore we did.
No, not to the level that
we do now.
You need it for CGI. Because, trust me, I know my industry and I know hair dynamics quite well.
I know you do. We've sat and talking about it for like hours, and I watched you mess with your stuff.
Oh yeah, you saw me do cloth simulations. I was like,
did you forget this? I watched you.
Yes,
like a little creeper behind your shoulder.
So by the time that Tangled came out, so Tangled was 2010, Pixar, which is a huge 3D animation company, was barely advancing their hair simulations. And it wasn't until last year where Encanto came out from Pixar. So Encanto has the most amount of hair. It has 12 different hairstyles of 3D animation. It is the most any animation movie has ever had. The dynamics in that hair was being set from Tangled to literally last year. So in 2 years, a studio that had not been perfecting it and had not been as devoted to hair simulation as Pixar would be, would not have had the capability of doing the CGI hair, and it would have looked weird. In fact, what saves the CGI in Hunger Games is the lighting. Like, you notice that they make it real dark?
Yeah.
That's to help sell the CGI. So, like, I understand why they didn't do the fur, because, again, technically, it would not have been technically possible, or it would have just cost a lot of money and a lot of time to be able to get close to that, and it wouldn't have even looked as good. But I would have liked the eyes.
Yeah, that's why I said they could have done at least the eyes then.
Yeah, I would have loved the eyes. And for Katniss to have at least seen Rue's eyes or something like that, and kind of really understand that those were the tributes. And the only reason that I say that is because it shows later on why she can separate herself from Peeta and call him a mutt, because she's already seen them do it to these tributes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it shows that in the second book why she fears the Capitol so much, which I'm gonna get to a scene that I really, really, really hate. I really hate it. I know what it was trying to do, but I didn't execute it. Didn't do it well. But yeah, so when Peeta and Katniss find out that they have to kill each other, I didn't like that in the cave, Peeta gets this magical cream that heals his leg.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the books, that's how he convinces Katniss to kill him or kill themselves, because he literally takes off the tourniquet that is holding his artery.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, cool, if you're not going to kill me, I'm going to bleed out way before you do. I'm going to die. Like, this dude was already ready to die.
Yep.
That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, in the books, it's very clear he was going to kill himself.
Yep.
For her. Like, he had already determined he was not going to live.
Yeah, he was already set. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of pieces that are missing throughout the story where he's like, I will die for you.
And he literally proves it in the books. He takes away the tourniquet and he starts bleeding out. And you get that. And it's like horrible feeling. And just like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what gives Katniss the ability to do the berries, because she's like, well, this bro is already going to kill himself. Like, she's literally patching him back up, screaming for him not to do it. And I love that in the books, you can tell that she says, it's not for my district. It's not because of how bad I would look in my district. It's because I would never leave the arena if Peeta doesn't leave with me.
Yep.
And so, like, that's crazy to me. That, to me, was when Katniss fell in love with Peeta. She may not have realized it, but that's when she full on was fully in love with Peeta. Like, there is no doubt in my mind. Yeah, so that's the part I don't like that much, that it belittled a lot of what Peeta was willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It hurt my heart to see her faking it, because Peeta didn't know she was faking it.
Yeah.
And that was really, really sad. So, okay, that gets us to the part where I really, really, really dislike. Where Haymitch is like, they're not happy with you. And she responds back in the movie, well, I'm not happy with them.
Mm-hmm.
Katniss is not supposed to be like that, rebellious against the Capitol. She's terrified. She just spent a month being tortured by them. She literally says in the book, she's like, oh snap, I'm out of the games. That means that not only am I susceptible to their torture, but
so is my family. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, that's why I don't like her rebellion in that moment, because there's no reason to. Like, in the book, she's actually, like, freaking out, and she's like, hey, Mitch, teach me how to not make them angry.
Yeah, teach me how to navigate this stuff. How have you been doing it so long and, living with this?
Which it is until the second book that you really get into Haymitch's story, which I hate that they cut out in the second book. I got feelings.
strong feelings.
I got my strong feelings about, so, movies and books. But those are all my pet peeves on every difference between the movies and why they worked or didn't work.
Well, there's no more, because they didn't even the closing out too. The interviews and all that, they still did that different. The closing interviews.
Yeah, but so you have to look at it through a movie perspective. Once you hit that climax, once they're already the victors, people are already tuning out. People are already like, okay, I'm over it. That's it. They won. Like, the suspense was whether or not they were going to win or not.
And that's true. A lot of people are tuning out, and that's why they kind of just floated through the end a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I know they rushed through the ending, and as a person who reads books, and if you're a bookworm like the two of us, then yeah, you can stay for the conclusion, you can stay for the following chapters because you want more. But for most average moviegoers, once you hit that climax, it's a quick to the end. At least most recently.
Yeah,
So that didn't bug me as much.
I guess so. But one of the things, though, that I think they should have done in the end is the way that they changed one thing that's gonna lead into the next book. Katniss admitted to saying that, you know, it was part of the game. She was doing it for the games, the whole act. She admitted that in the book, but she didn't in the movie.
Jupiter, you mean?
Yeah. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that.
No, yeah. She says, like, didn't Haymitch tell you that? Like, he told me that you were already good about it. I'm so confused. What's going on?
Yeah, like this was part of your plan or whatever.
No, yeah, I remember that.
And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And it because he even says that. Haymitch says, you know, that at one point too, that he doesn't need to fake it or something or whatever. And she was all confused about it.
Yeah, well, he says he's already there. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need to tell him. Because, yeah, she asked, like, oh, do you need to let PETA know, or how are you going to let PETA know? And he's like, I don't need to let him know.
Yeah. And
like,
she was
he's already in love with you.
Yeah. And she was all confused about it. She's like, huh? So that was right before one of the closing interviews, I believe. So
yeah, but I mean, you can just assume, and especially with that ending, like.
So what happens when we get back?
I don't know. I guess we try to forget.
I don't want to forget.
And that I feel like that look is like she's gonna have to tell him. And then when you go into book 2 and he already knows, you're just gonna assume that the 3 months between the books is when she tells him. You don't need it for the movie.
I suppose.
Personally, I don't think you need it. If I'm wrong, let me know, guys. I'm always wrong, but you know, let me know.
We're not always right, you know. Whole human factor, you know.
So human. Yeah. What else was I gonna say? No, I had a thought process. Oh, okay. So one thing I do want to talk about before we wrap this all up is, so I think if there hadn't been a rule change, if one victor really did leave the arena, I think the victors would have been Kato or Foxface.
If she did not eat the poison berries.
No. Because, so here's my thing. This is if they never did the rule change. Because if they never did the rule change, Peter would never have left the creek.
Yeah, that's
true. He would have bled out and he would have died. Therefore, Foxface would not have been accidentally tricked by PETA into dying. She would have actually followed Katniss, who would have had a better understanding of which berries were what. Now, you could have said that she would have picked some berries and Foxface would have seen similar ones and thought they were safe and that's how she died. Then Kato wins. But personally, I think and I think even Foxface has an even higher chance because Foxface ran. She was able to climb trees. She was able to hide better than any of the other tributes, and she was smarter than anybody else in the tributes, according to Katniss. So I think what would have happened was Kato would have killed Katniss, and then I think that Kato would have been killed by the Mutations, and that would have left Foxface to win the 74th Hunger Games.
Yeah, most likely.
That is my
I think it, well, yeah, because I don't think Kato would have probably found her, because I don't think they ran across her at all during the Hunger Games. So he probably would have died of some natural causes, and she would have won.
She was very, very sneaky and very smart. I think Foxface would have won. If not, Kato would have won.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Katniss would have won.
Thank you.
I think what gave Katniss the advantage against Kato was Peeta. That it was 2 against 1. I really do think that that's what gave her the advantage. What do you guys think? Who do you think would have won the 76th Hunger Game if the rule change would not have happened? 74th. We'll get to the 75th in the next episode. All right, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope this was fun and entertaining. Let us know your thoughts. We really want to build this community to be as inclusive as humanly possible. We all love these stories in which books can transform us, and we luckily have the technology in which they can come to life in the cinema itself. So let us know what you guys think. We want your input a lot, so please go ahead and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, which is now called X. Still not used to calling it that. As well as if you're interested in us creating a Discord for all of us to talk about the movies and books as we're even reading them throughout the week, which would be really, really nice to conversate and do all that. Let us know.
We'll pick our favorites and answer them.
Yes. Yes, and then if you have any suggestions for what to do after the Hunger Games, please let us know. We are very open to that. As you can guess, our next book will be Catching Fire, which is the second book in the series of Hunger Games. If you have any questions for us or any thoughts or any perspectives that you think either us or anyone listening would like to hear, please feel free to either tweet at us on X or comment down below. You can even, if you don't want to do that, you can call us at 972-312-5280, which will be our number directly for this podcast. You can call us at that number and just give us your input, your statement, your question. We would love to hear from you. And thank you guys. And see you guys next time for Catching Fire.